I want you to get ready to embark on a transformative journey where there's no more suffering in silence, no more conforming to outdated societal norms. This is the podcast where we dare to crush those societal expectations and embrace the realities of pregnancy and parenthood with one honest conversation at a time. It's time for us to rise above the shadows and ignite a movement towards a happier, more fulfilled world for every parent and child. If that's you and you're ready to challenge the status quo and embark on this incredible journey with me, then I'd like to welcome you to the Birth Junkie Podcast. Hello and welcome back. Today I am joined with an amazing guest. Her name is Ashley Holmes, and she is the CEO and founder of Holistic Fertility Coach, Inc. She helps women struggling with infertility to bring mind, body, and spirit back into balance and alignment in order to conceive with ease. She is passionate about customizing one-to-one programs for women that truly nourish them so that they achieve their optimal health and wellness for conception. Oh my gosh, I love everything about that. That is so beautiful. So, Ashley, if you would like to introduce yourself a little further, please do.
I really feel like my path chose me, and it's my honor and duty to fulfill a missing piece that so many women are struggling with. And that was really my own journey, and to just offer that to others and meet them where they're at, because it can be a lonely and isolating journey. And to know that you are not alone is so pivotal and key, I think, because every woman who's struggling to conceive or has had a miscarriage or a failed round of IVF really feels like they are alone and that no one understands them.
Yeah, definitely. So, I'm taking it that that stems from your own personal journey.
Yes, over a decade ago, I struggled to conceive and went the fertility clinic route and really wasn't given any answers, had unexplained infertility, and it took a long time. And finally, I did conceive twins, but I walked away from that experience not thinking that I could conceive on my own, and also that I couldn't conceive naturally. And I wasn't willing to put myself through that again to have more children, and it wasn't the truth. I did 5 years later have a child easily, naturally, once I incorporated holistic practices and really brought my mind, body, and spirit back into balance and alignment, and understood how to actually be in tune with my body and listen to my body and nourish my body and treat it like the sacred vessel that it is.
I love that. And did they ever give you like any reason specifically why they thought you could not get pregnant naturally?
No, there was never any reason, and one of, the lowest points was leaving the clinic and them saying, "This should have worked by now, and so we're moving on to this protocol." And me taking that as something's wrong with me because I've done everything you've told me down to a science, right? So the way that we internalize these things doesn't necessarily serve us in the best way and isn't the truth either. So when we have that awareness and we can be mindful and we can begin to notice those thoughts and change those thoughts and rewire our thoughts, then we are in a way better state and place to continue on this journey.
Definitely, because it can be so defeating to hear somebody tell you that, "Oh, well, we've exhausted all of these options and it's just not working for you." And any person that's not willing or, not educated to dive deeper into that, they would probably just give up, and think that their body is broken. I know personally, I just talked to somebody who she was told that she had infertility issues, she would never get pregnant, and that she should just get her uterus and everything removed, have a total hysterectomy, and she declined. And luckily she did, because she ended up pregnant about 6 months later after that doctor told her to get a hysterectomy. So it's like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy to me how they can so easily say these words to you instead of kind of approaching it in a more holistic way the way you do. So, what steps exactly did you take in order to kind of hone into yourself and create that?
Really, it was landing on my yoga mat initially and not even understanding why I was so drawn to it and why I loved it so much. But really, it's the energetics behind it and realizing because I had done hot yoga for years when my twins were little and nothing really changed. But that's not what I needed. It was more of the yin aspect, it was more of the restorative aspect, more coming out of fight and flight mode and into rest and digest mode. And that's where the nervous system really needs to be, and incorporating things like yoga nidra and using Ayurveda, which is the sister science to yoga, which really nourishes you in the optimal way that is for your inborn constitution, how you arrived here on this earth. And so when you have this information and this knowledge, you are so empowered in yourself, in your body. And I can speak to how this played out for me with twins being an emergency C section, a stressful pregnancy, a longer recovery, and not being my optimal self as a new mom. And on the flip side, when I conceived naturally, I was hiking when my water broke. I had a natural delivery and I was back at Baby and Me yoga 10 days later. Night and day different, 5 years apart. I was deemed geriatric, and yet I felt better the second time around than I did the first time around. And it was the shift in me and my state of being that is why that was felt.
Yeah. And I think you just touched on so many important points. Like, we're always in this fight or flight mode. We're always just kind of going as quickly as we can to get this done or that done. And we don't always come back to that rest and digest. And we just think we have to be on the go constantly because that's the way our world feels. It just feels so quick. And I think that's important to remember that we have to come back to ourselves because it is so easy to even lose ourselves because of the hustle and bustle of the everyday. And I'm sure that was really hard for you because you had twins. So not only did you have one, but you had two to tend to. So I think it's important to just come back to ourselves and, also with doctors, like so many of us are so used to, and it's so normalized to put our 100% trust in doctors, which of course there's a time and place, I feel like for that medical model, but I don't know, to me, I don't feel like it should be the first place we go for answers. We should go inside of ourselves because nobody knows us better than we know ourselves. So
That
I
is
think
the truth.
yeah, yeah. I think that's
Absolutely.
beautiful. That is so beautiful that you did that and you had that experience. So, and you had your VBAC, you had that vaginal birth after having that C-section, which is incredible. And congratulations on that. That's beautiful. So
Well,
you're
thank you, because you're so often told, no, that won't be possible for you. And I was like, I do not want another C-section. I've been there, I've done that. And it's really hard to bend over, to change, to nurse, and do all of those things when your abdomen has been cut open. Like, it is such night and day difference to be able to just walk out of the hospital. And when my twins were born, they were on separate floors, and I literally could not get between the floors. Like, I was like, went to hop out of bed, and I was like, I can't walk. Like,
mm, exactly.
had not experienced that before. It was just like, this is really, really challenging.
Yeah.
And how am I supposed to look after two little ones in this state?
Exactly. And, I feel like C-sections are so normalized that people forget this is a major abdominal surgery. You have
It is.
7 layers of your internal being cut open. That includes muscle tissue. And, it takes a lot of time for all those 7 layers to heal and, to take care of newborn and newborns. After having a major abdominal surgery, I mean, we need that support and it's hard. It's hard to want to ask for that when it's not really showcased as something that you need to ask for help after having done to you, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense because everyone is always worried about the baby or babies, right? And they want to see the babies. And it's like, what about the mom?
Yeah.
What does the mom need? She probably
Hmm.
needs a shower. She probably needs a nap. She probably needs someone else to feed the baby if possible, or rock the baby, or one of the babies, right?
Exactly, exactly. So how did you feel after, you had this beautiful VBAC and you were healing, you were in the healing stages postpartum. How did you feel? Did you feel like it was a healing experience for you, or, what did you feel like?
I feel like I was able to give myself everything that I wanted the first time around and didn't have the tools, the resources, the empowerment that I needed then to do so. But I feel like I had everything within me all along. I just didn't know how to access it and tap into it.
Yeah. And so how would you kind of suggest somebody would go about tapping into that inner self if they're struggling with infertility?
The best way to get into your body is to do something for your mind, body, and spirit every single day, whatever that looks like for you, whether that's meditating, whether that's yoga, whether it is meditation doesn't have to be sitting down. It can be going for a walk in nature, like, and your spiritual component is, what makes you feel like you? What gives you that spark of inner joy daily? That is sort of your reset button that isn't coming from externally, it's coming from internally.
Yeah, definitely. And so during this whole experience that you had or experiences, did your partner support you in a way that felt good to you?
Absolutely. He has just been amazing. He's an amazing father, and I'm so grateful for him. But I also have come to know and realize that the first time around, I expected and wanted him to be my everything, which wasn't a realistic expectation at the time because he was in it with me, right? So I really, say to clients that as much as you want your partner to be that support and to be the everything that you need and want, it's not possible for them usually to do that for you because they're in it with you and they love you and they want the same outcome as you.
Yeah, definitely. So if somebody, has a partner and they're going through this, what would be the best advice that you would give to them or their partner to help them get through this together?
I would really take the time to nurture your relationship because it can be a time that is either going to pull you together or pull you apart, right? And because it's stressful, there's no denying the stress of it. So, really bring the passion and bring the love into it too, because when you involve science and everything feels like it needs to be done at this day and time, at this place, and all of this, it really makes it not romantic. So, bring that romance back into your relationship and don't let that fizzle out as well. Because
Yeah.
that was really when I did conceive was when the doctor said this isn't working, but I still had meds because they were moving on to something else. And so that's really when I did conceive my twins was when the pressure was off because when we're stressed, we're not in a capacity to be able to receive. And so when I wasn't in such a state, because I was like, well, I'm just going to keep taking these because I have them and we haven't moved on quite yet. That is when my body was actually receptive instead of forcing and trying so hard to make this happen. And it's very subtle difference, but it's a big difference and it's very impactful and important to know that and feel that in your body.
Definitely. I know I actually had a friend who they had their first child right away, no problems. And they tried, actively trying for, I want to say it was like 5 years. And they were on the brink of giving up, and because they had gone through all the infertility treatments and all the things. And finally they said, well, if we're not meant to have more kids, then we won't have more kids. And once she decided, once they decided that, they were pregnant a couple months later. It was like once they took all of that stress and anxiety and pressure off of themselves, that was when they were finally able to get pregnant. And then they didn't plan on it, but they got pregnant, after they had that second baby just a couple months later too. And so, all those 5 years that they tried to have a baby and they couldn't. But I feel like it's important to remember that, you know, you can't put all this stress on doing something because that stress is felt throughout your entire body. And it's almost like that fight or flight. You feel like it's not safe. So, it's like your body is attuned to the fact that, say we're back in, I don't know, the caveman stage. If our body feels like it's not safe, it's not going to allow us to get pregnant because it's going to be like, well, this is not a safe environment for a baby. So I'm not going to allow you to have a baby. And it's our own body's mechanics to save us or to save the baby or whatever, whatever it is to keep us safe. So yeah, I think it's important for people to realize that because like you said, it's like you have to let go. You have to let
You have
go.
to you have to let go and you just have to surrender. And that is really just what I realized on the other end of the spectrum of it, right? Was by allowing that to happen and by surrendering, that's what brought all the beauty and joy into my life that I didn't even think was possible because I thought that things were meant to happen this way, this was going to line up this way, and it's really releasing your attachment to the timeline and to all of the rest of the things of how you think this is supposed to happen, what this is supposed to look like, when this is supposed to you're supposed to be at this state and place and time and just letting that all go.
Yes, definitely.
Just
And
so much easier said than done,
I
but it
know.
is key.
Exactly. I know it is easier said than done, but I mean, we have to. And I relate it to birth, when you're already pregnant and getting ready for birth, if you're holding on to all of that anxiety and stress, like you're scared to give birth, that's going to translate into your labor and that could make you not feel safe to give birth, and then that makes your body tense up and it makes your body think, okay, well, it's not safe, so it might take you longer to give birth because your body is reacting to the way that you're thinking and the way that you're acting. So oh my gosh, this can translate into anything, but I mean relating it to birth, like for me, it makes so much sense because I see birth happen all the time. And it's like we have to get to that place of ultimate surrender, not just saying, I surrender. No, we have to literally like
Mhm.
embody the surrender and just let it happen and be okay with the unknown, and that comes with getting pregnant too, just being okay with whenever it happens because it is unknown. Even when we're actively trying, we don't know if we'll get pregnant tomorrow, next month, 6 months from now, a year from now, so gosh, that is beautiful.
Really, control is an illusion because you don't have control. You have control in this now moment of your thoughts, your actions, and your behaviors, but you have to really surrender and let the rest go. It really is just this illusion that you are in control of this whole process and this whole destiny of how many children you're going to have.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. And I would love to know. So, obviously, you created this amazing business of, helping people with their infertility in a holistic way. So I'd love to know, how do you go about doing that for people? How do you help them along the way?
I help them along the way in that I've designed my program to be for 4 months, so they can continue thereafter monthly if they choose, if they're not pregnant yet, if they want to be seen through the first trimester, if they've had other miscarriages. I've designed it in that way so that they feel good when they're done working with me and they feel like they're in a good state and place. But it's also designed in that manner because what we do now affects our egg quality 3 to 4 months from now. So, really taking the time to nourish ourselves and incorporate breath work and movement and nourishment and just this energy medicine of you feeling your optimal best in a holistic way in all areas of your life, in all parts of your being, and nothing is left out. You're not missing anything. All of you is tended to and looked after, which is what I really feel the medical field is missing, right? They're looking at the physical part of you, but you are more than your physical body. So, really tending to all aspects of yourself.
Yeah, and I love that. And when I talk to people about like, because everybody always says, what does holistic even mean? And to me, what I think of is instead of it being like HOL, I look at it as WHOLE, whole, the whole body, the whole mind, the whole you, period. Because we're a complete system. And, even when we go to doctors, we're going to doctors and they have their specific niche that they work on. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to look outside of that niche that they're specified in. And, to just pinpoint certain things in the body does not make sense at all because we're a whole system. We are all connected. We don't just cut off, one part because that's what they, are is their specialty. So, yeah, I think that's amazing. So, how would you describe holistic to somebody?
Holistic for me is mind, body, and spirit, and it is also safe. It is natural. There are no side effects. You are going to feel better no matter what. You are going to come back to your vitality and your vibrancy and your radiance that you truly are, that can be really drained and depleted throughout this process. And so that you feel like your energetic best self, because every woman who is struggling with infertility is exhausted and overwhelmed because there's just so many things.
Yeah, there are. There's a lot of things that they try to do. And, that it's also you feel pressure not only from yourself, but possibly from a partner and possibly from your family. Because even though they might be very well meaning, sometimes they're like, well, when are you going to have a baby? Or, are you guys going to try, when it's at that point or whatever. And even though it might not feel harmless to say, to that person, that might be like the dagger in the heart, because
It's
they're,
extremely triggering,
yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
And when I work with my clients for such a period of time, we really do move through. There's always a holiday, right? And holidays are extremely triggering for women who are trying to conceive. And, if they've lost a baby, then it's like, well, this would have been their birthday, or this would have
Mm,
been, their first Christmas, or this would have, and there's a lot of would have been or should have been. And it's really finding the peace within for what didn't come to pass in the physical reality that you expected, and moving forward in a way that serves you and making peace with what was. Because you
yeah,
can't really just bypass what has come before on your fertility journey and just keep trying for the sake of trying, even if the doctors have said you're okay, you can keep going. If you don't have that mind, body, and spirit connection, and your mind is saying yes, your body may not be there yet. And so to keep doing that to yourself is really hard on yourself. And you're just repeating the same sort of cycles. And to have that awareness and choose yourself truly and take care of and prioritize yourself first.
exactly. Yes, definitely. So, we talked about the holidays and they are coming up pretty soon. So, is there a way that you might be teaching the moms that you serve to navigate that? I'd love to share that if you have a certain way that you help.
I honestly just always say tune into your needs, follow your needs. Don't be a people pleaser. Let that go. What do you need? And honor that. And it's okay if not everybody agrees with you. That is okay. You truly need to take that time and attention for yourself and to make sure that you're looking after you so that you're not extremely triggered in certain situations, or if you are able to handle it in the moment. Maybe you're doing EFT with your fingers under the table. If this is, Christmas dinner and you're just feeling emotional, but at least you have some resources and some tools at your disposal so that you can make it through the holidays without being like, thank goodness it's over. Like,
Hmm.
you know, you don't want to feel like that at the end of the holidays, right? It's supposed to be a time of connection and love and joy.
Exactly. And so you mentioned EFT tapping. Is that something that you offer in your program as well?
It is something that I offer because I feel like sometimes we don't feel like we can say the thing that we need to say, or, we don't feel like it's okay to say it. It's like, say what you need to say, get it off your chest, journal, brain dump, get that stuff out of your mind, out of your body daily so that you're not carrying it with you day in and day out.
Exactly. Yeah. And we hold on to so much. If we don't let it out, it's going to be there. It's just going to be there under the surface, and something's going to trigger it and it's going to come out. And I know that that personally has helped me is journaling and brain dumping. And it doesn't even have to be in like a certain specific way, in my opinion. Like just writing whatever you're feeling or thinking down on a paper, that gets it out. And then that helps you in your processing journey. Cause I know that's helped me on my different, traumas and whatnot that I've gone through myself. So just getting it out there and not pretending that it's not there, because it's there and it will rear its
Yes.
ugly head if you don't acknowledge it. So yeah, that's
Yes.
great.
Everything wants to be seen and acknowledged, and often we're fearful of like looking at our shadows or looking, and that is the yin aspect. It's that quieter, gentler, you know, aspect of yourself, and really embodying and embracing all of that. It's part of you. It makes you who you are, and you don't need to like turn your back on it. You can look at those pieces and parts of yourself with self-compassion and kindness, and to let go of the critical judging mind and thoughts of where you're at, and just knowing you are exactly where you're meant to be, and really just allowing that to be embodied, because otherwise if you're meant to be anywhere else you would be. And we have to find acceptance for where we're at, but we can still have a goal of where we want to be, and we can still work towards that, and it's progress, not perfection. And I'm not so focused on the baby and the pregnancy. It's, you know, what is your level of stress from the beginning? And like we are focusing on, all areas holistically of your well-being, and noticing those improvements, noticing those incremental changes. And, you're losing weight naturally because you're looking after yourself in a different way. You're treating yourself in a different way. You're being mindful of how you're eating, what you're eating. It's not just what you eat, it's what you consume daily as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think because you touched on perfection, like I really hate that word because I feel like there is nothing in this world that could be perfect. And that's okay. We're not striving for perfection, but if there's that little incremental progress, making those daily changes little by little, even if it's like I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes of just brain dumping or journaling, that makes a difference. Anything that you do, especially every day, it adds up over time. And you may not notice the changes immediately, but other people around you will. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It just creates a ripple effect. The more, and it's like habit stacking. Like this week you're working on this, and like when you stop working with me, we make sure you are set up to continue to know how to nurture yourself and nourish yourself in the best way that serves you. Not just now, but for the long run, when the baby is here. Okay, I'm sleep deprived. I can do a yoga nidra meditation, which is equivalent to 4 hours sleep, to reset and feel like I am at my best self for right now. there are so many things that we can do for ourselves to really set us up for success instead of just surviving and getting through the day. We want to be thriving, not surviving.
Exactly. Yes. And I know I heard you say yoga nidra. So I've actually never heard of that. So what exactly does that mean?
It is a yogic sleep meditation that takes you into that state between wakefulness and sleep. And it is the perfect meditation to do for anyone who says, I can't meditate, I can't quiet my mind, and they have all the I can't. It is the perfect place to start because you can't do it wrong. So even if you fall asleep, it still works on your subconscious mind. You are still going to receive everything that you need to. So I always highly recommend that for sleep deprived moms because sleep deprived moms are always functioning on very little sleep and broken sleep and go, 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 do, do, do.
Yes. So you hear that? You heard it here. Like if you're sleep deprived, get on that yoga nidra. Like we all need that. Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much for all of the amazing information that you've given us today. I would love for you to let us know the best way to come into contact with you if somebody would like to work with you.
I would love to offer an invitation to join my Facebook group. It's a holistic fertility coach Facebook group, and I offer meditations and other things within there and have other experts come in. And it's just a safe, sacred space to land, to be, to feel supported, to not feel alone. So I would love to invite you there.
Awesome. And then if, somebody would like to follow you or anything, how would it be, or what would be the best way for them to do that? Would that be the Facebook group, or do you have any other way for them to do that?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and just look for the baby coming out of the lotus flower because that's my logo and that's really, a sentiment I always come back to is no mud, no lotus. And it's really when you're in the fertility trenches, it feels like there's no way out, that you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I promise you that there is beauty in your journey and it's possible to find it.
Definitely. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, Ashley. Well, we will go ahead and wrap up, but thank you again for being a guest. And oh my gosh, I love this conversation. We're just trying to put it all out there so that people don't feel so alone in this journey. There's no reason to feel alone. And you can reach out to me or Ashley if you want to chat a little deeper about this issue. And we will see you next time. Bye. Oh my gosh, I feel so honored that you took the time out of your busy day to listen to that episode. I really hope that you liked it or something resonated with you or you learned something new today. Make sure to hit subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. And if you'd like to connect with me, go ahead and go to the show notes and click the link. I'd love for you to rate and review this show. That helps more people see this show when they're searching. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a beautiful day. I will see you next week.